All right, guys, let's do this. What up? It's JoJo on the radio. This is the iHeartRadio Countdown. It's Sheeran. It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
When's the last time I saw you? Like 3 or 4 years ago, whatever?
Well, yeah, because on Equals, I mean, we might have done a Zoom for Equals maybe, but on Equals it was all COVID, so I was just at home in my office doing Zoom. So I imagine it would have been Divide 2017.
Man, Zooms are no fun. I'll put that right there and leave it there. Before I even get to Subtract, what inspired the whole mathematics series? I don't know if I ever heard that story. And did it turn out like you envisioned it would, now that it's all that series is a wrap, basically?
Yeah, I mean, it obviously was way bigger than I thought it would be, because no one could predict what happened. But I basically had released 5 independent EPs prior to signing a deal. And then when I signed a deal, my first album I saw as the addition onto all those EPs. Multiply would then make it bigger. Divide would be a double album. Subtract would strip it all back and be an acoustic record. And then Equals would be the sum of all the parts. And it was meant to be Subtract, then Equals. And then I wrote Shivers and Bad Habits. And I was like, this doesn't sound like Subtract. So it ended up being that way round. But yeah.
And you stuck with that concept through this whole process, except for that little flip at the end there. But man, that's just...
Yeah, well, I've got another concept for 5 albums. I just think it's nice knowing what your next things are going to be. You know, there's always a plan. But then once that plan's over, we'll see.
I heard you worked on this, and maybe you could say this for all your records. You worked on this album for a decade. Is that accurate?
I worked on an album called Subtract for a decade, and then I'm just constantly writing songs. And then I wrote a collection of songs that just felt like they were more important than the 10 years of writing. That, yeah, it just felt like it had a story and a theme, and it was important to put out as a body of work. Yeah.
Which track on Subtract almost didn't make it? And there's a reason I'm asking that, because usually those turn out to be massive for some reason.
Yeah, well, I don't actually think anything on Subtract is going to be like massive. I think that's the whole point of the album, is to be subtracted.
Are you sure about that?
Well, I think they'll matter to people. I think that's how it'll be massive in a sense. But I don't think, you can put on Bad Habits at any point of the day, if you're in the car or you're going out to a club, or you're in a club or in a bar, or you're in the gym. Bad Habits works in lots of scenarios, whereas this album is very much, it's a mood, and it's very much like you have to be in the mood to listen to it. So I'm not deluded in the fact that obviously songs like Borderline and Vega and No Strings and stuff, these aren't songs that are going to be banging out in a club,
Fair point. Tour is on. Do you love tour life? It seems like, you're on the stage part is amazing, but everything that comes with it, how do you love it or not?
I don't know anything different. I've always, I didn't tour as a kid. I just played show after show after show. But being on stage, if I don't do it, I get confused of what I am doing. So there's always, every single weekend this year, I get to play to 60,000 people, and that's the thing I look forward to all week.
Every single weekend this year?
Well, I would say 60% of the year. So until October, I'm playing every weekend in a stadium, and then every Friday in a theatre. So I get to play to 2,000 people in a theatre on a Friday, and then to 60,000 people on a Saturday, and that is what I'm looking forward to.
Does anything match, aside from your family's love and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Does anything match the rush of being on stage?
Writing good songs, when you get excitement of the spark of a song, I actually think that's better than being on stage. It's it's not even the finishing of the song, it's the excitement of what it could be. When you get the first idea and you go, oh, this is special. Well, that's the greatest feeling in the world.
Ed, this Disney Plus documentary, The Sum of It All, the story you told about how it started off hey, let's do this documentary, and you'll be on stage and it'll be crazy, and then it turned into something else. Give me that story, because I find that whole thing fascinating, how it evolved.
Well, I sort of spoke to the guys that were making the documentary, and they were very insistent and keen that it wouldn't be a propaganda press package. They were we want to make a documentary, we don't want to make a promotional tool for you. So what you have to let us do is film you, and you let us in, and just know that we're going to be respectful with whatever story that we get. So I was kind of yeah, cool, thinking it would be somewhat a promotional press package. And the document, it's not a music documentary, it's a documentary on grief and anxiety and depression, and yeah, it's it's an uncomfortable watch for me, but I hope it's like a cathartic watch for other people.
You just kind of pretend the guys or the people weren't there when they were there, basically?
Well, my best mate, Nick, is, he followed me. Nick has been following me for like 6 or 7 years, so I'm super comfortable with him around. So all the like really uncomfortable bits in that documentary are Nick, who's, I spend almost every day with him. He's godfather of my kids.
Ed, eyes closed. Let's do this track, man. We came to your American Idol taping.
Yeah,
and we noticed something that I'd never. Maybe you do this all the time. I don't know, but we watched you sing this song, and you sang the entire song with your eyes closed.
Yeah,
is that just kind of something you do subconsciously, or?
I just find it awkward making eye contact with people when you're like singing a song that is like with lots of emotion. I find that song. The first couple of times I played that on stage, I cried, and that was because I was looking in the audience and seeing other people cry, and like, it's an emotive song for me.
So other tracks, unless I'm you sing other songs, you have your eyes open on for the most part of the show, right?
Yeah, if it's a song with emotion, I close my eyes. If it's like Bad Habits, I want to see people jumping up and down.
Right. And what do people need to know about this track that they might not know already? Eyes closed.
It's just a song about loss and when not just death, but just loss in general. If you see someone every day and then suddenly you don't, there's part of you that thinks you're going to bump into them places, like even if it's like a relationship or it's someone that's passed away, like because you go to regular places. This is what had happened when Jamal passed away. I was going to the spots that we would always hang out in and thinking that he was going to walk in, and then he didn't. So the song is basically that,
Man, straight to the heart, dude. Ed, I read somewhere your friendship with Taylor. I don't want any specific details, but when you speak with her at times, it's like a therapeutic thing. Probably for her too, is my guess. But what can you tell me about that without revealing, of course, personal things?
Just that, we're similar age and have been in the industry around the same amount of time, and we're at a level where it's, she is like huge here. Like, I'm playing one stadium a weekend, she's playing 3 or 4. But we're at a stadium level, and we've known each other for a long time, and we've seen ups and downs personally. And I just feel like speaking to her, she gets it more than some of my school friends would get it, because she's going through the sort of isolation of being a solo act and navigating all of these things, and also being, she's in, however many people work on her tour, like she's in charge of all of that. Everything depends on her, and it's the same sort of thing. I don't know. It's
I can see the similarities.
Yeah. I have it with I have it with you speak to someone like Elton on another scale, because he's so much older and has done more things. But just having someone that's solo artist, been through all these things, that you can speak to and they understand it. Because a lot of times I would speak to like my parents and my friends, and it's not that there isn't the want to understand it. It's just it's very difficult to get it.
How many people do stadium shows? The percentage of people, like,
but then that's always the default thing to say is like, but look, it's amazing you do this. And I think like, I think having someone like Taylor, it's just having someone that you can vent to every now and then,
Fair point. I need to ask you this. You told me I'm obsessed with the paranormal. I love the ghost, UFOs, all that stuff. You have a house on your property that you told me, I think on that Zoom we did a couple of years back, that is haunted.
Yeah.
One of these days, whenever, I don't care when, I want to sleep in that
house. I don't think you do, man. It's really creepy.
I know that it's like a real thing.
It is a real thing.
Have you seen whatever's going on in there?
Dude, when we were shooting the documentary, and there's footage of it's weird. We were in that house filming an interview, and a lamp just slid off the table and fell. And you watch the footage, and you're like, "There's no way that would have happened. No one went near it." I'm not like a ghost hunter, like UFO, blah blah blah, but there is something in that house.
Okay, I have to be continued at some point. How do you make a proper cup of British tea? Any quick notes on that?
You put the tea bag in, and you put water, and you would leave it to brew, I think, for 2 minutes with boiling water, and then you do a little tiny splash of milk.
But water boiled on the stove or microwave? Is there a difference?
Oh my God.
Oh, sorry. That's very offensive, sir.
In it, Liv. In it. Would you ever make a cup of tea in a microwave? No.
Oh, okay. I was just bringing that up. I would never do that either, Ed. No, that's a terrible idea. All right. Ed, you mentioned you have a plan for another set of 5 albums. The Mathematics series is done. Have you revealed any information on the new set, or can you say anything on this new set, or
I've had them tattooed on me for like 10 years. So like, if fans want to look into that, they'll find it on my body somewhere. But yeah, I'll probably kick off with it next year or the year after. I don't know.
Okay, and this is a bit of I forget which outlet you said this on, but a bit of a morbid question to me. You have an album that you're planning to release, way down the road when our time on Earth is done. Like when it's...
Yeah, well, I haven't made it yet, but like I have loads of songs that I wrote in my teens, loads of songs I wrote in my 20s, and songs that I've been writing in my 30s. And I just think it would be cool to have something that is released on the day you pass away. That imagine if the Beatles had all got together and they made this Beatles record. Then they said when Paul McCartney and Ringo pass away, and then it just comes out and people are like, oh, that's cool. Like, I'm not saying I'm like the Beatles, but I'm saying at some point my fan base probably that would be quite a cool thing to like leave. You spent your life making music and then you leave the world with one more thing. And there's obviously people that, like don't like my music that will take the piss out of it and be like, even in death he haunts us. But I think for me, I like the idea. If one of my favorite artists did that, I would, I'd be happy.
One quick idea, you won't do this, but I'm sure every song on there will be meaningful, emotional, or whatever, but there needs to be one song. F you to this person, F you to that person, go to I don't like you. Make a list.
Imagine I did that. It'd be like, what's the Almost Famous when they're on the plane and it's crashing and they're, I hate you, I've always hated you. Imagine if I made that at like 40 and it leaked.
Oh God, that would be awful. Message to your fans, especially the day one fans. What do you want to say to them?
Just thanks for connecting with Subtract so much. It's an album that I wasn't sure I was going to release at all, and I'm really loving the reaction from everyone. It makes it worth it when people connect that much with the music.
I've heard you've almost act surprised when people still love you in the States. I find that.
Do you know the States is a fast-moving beast? Like England, I'm always there, so there's always something going on. But I haven't been here in 5 years. Things do move on, like pop music, especially. Like it's a fast-moving thing. There's one star is massive today, and the next year they're not as massive. So it's not lost on me that I can still play big shows here and people come to them and are interested. I'm really grateful. And it's not like it's a given. Like it's a very rare thing for English artists to have long-lasting success in the United States. And I'm really chuffed that people are still interested.
Well, you're doing it, man. Subtract is out. The tour is on. The documentary, Disney Plus, check that. I've learned a cup of British tea. You don't microwave the water.
Oh my! If you went to England and said, I'm going to microwave my tea, they would put you straight back on a plane and send you home.
Can you tell the difference if you didn't know that I did that, though? Not that I would do that, Ed. But
have you done it before? Someone's given you microwave tea. The first time I just stopped drinking tea in America. The first time I came to America, I was in New York and I ordered tea and they sent it up without any milk. And I was like, I'm not sure about this. And then they sent up cream and I was like, oh... America is the place to get like great burgers, great barbecue. I love American wine. American beer is great. And it's just not the place to do tea.
Not the place for tea.
Or fish and chips, man. No. I once did a radio show here and they did like a British day and they gave me like, it was like battered fish, but then like potato chips. And I was like, that's not what fish and chips is.
Did you let them know, or did you just kind of smile?
I was like, that's great. Oh, British. It'd be like if you made me a microwave tea, I'd be like, oh, thanks, Jojo. This is great. Thanks.
Oh man, Ed, it's so good to see you. Congrats on everything.
Thank you.
At the end of every interview, fist bump to make it official. Give me a little.
Nice one. There we go. Bam.